In this crime thriller movie, Marshal William uncovers an underground medicine operation that's killing employees of a mining company, and as William investigates, he finds out a miracle medicine is making the employees very efficient and happy, but unbeknownst to them is it's also reducing their life expectancy to 10 months. In the distant future, humanity has explored and settled in different parts of our solar system, and the movie opens with a shot of Jupiter's third moon, Io. This moon is mainly used for the mining of the rare material titanium. The mining expedition is led by a private company, but is regulated by the federal government. We see the miners working on a project, and one of the miners suddenly announces that there's a spider crawling up his legs, and everyone is confused because they're outside, and no living thing can live in this moon without a spacesuit. But the miner was still freaking out and trying to kill the spider, and with his panic, he accidentally tears off his spacesuit and immediately dies. A day later, a federal marshal William arrives at the moon to replace the previous marshal for a year of work. He's brought his wife Carol and his son Pauline with him, but they're not happy because they've been traveling from mining sites to mining sites since Pauline was born. William promises them that this is the last job that he will take, and also promises that they'll go back to Earth in a year. He then goes to meet up with his police crew and also meets the miners as well. William gives a small speech about how he would like to work with everyone and keep the operation going, and the general manager of the mining company, Shepard, then responds to William by saying that his crew has been the most efficient and tells him that the reason for their success is because he works them really hard, but also allows them to party hard as well. He then goes on to say to William that the previous marshal didn't really bother them and asks him to follow in his footsteps. William wasn't happy with Shepard's response and is suspicious of him, but Sergeant Montone tells him that since their work has been effective and making the company a lot of profit, he shouldn't really disturb them. After work, William returns home, but he finds it empty, and he looks around for Carol and Pauline, but he can't seem to find them anywhere. Then a recording saved by Carol starts to play. She tells him that she's sick of moving from unlivable place to another unlivable area, and she's now decided to go back to Earth with her son, and she also goes on to say that Pauline hasn't really felt real air since he was born, and that he deserves to have a normal childhood. She then tells him that she'll contact him once they reach the space station, and says that she hopes that he can come with them. William thinks that he needs to do his job, so even though he wants to live with his family, he decides to stay on the moon. Meanwhile, a miner named Kane is seen walking around without wearing a spacesuit, and he then enters the airlock and gets into the elevator that takes people outside, and other workers see him and try to stop him, but it was too late as he gets exposed to the outside without wearing a suit, and he immediately dies as well. The police see the act as quite normal, as the guy just decided to off himself, but William is confused about why a person will just off himself without showing any indications before. He goes to Dr. Lazarus and asks her for Kane's autopsy, but she tells him that she was unable to do one because the company ships the dead bodies out immediately after they die. This gets William suspicious, and he starts an investigation of all the deaths that happened within that last year. However, before he can complete his work, he gets a call about a worker that held a prostitute hostage. William begins to rush to the room. Montone informs him that the employee named Sagan was acting insane and threatening to kill the prostitute. In the room, we see Sagan holding a knife on the woman's neck, and he's sweating heavily and rambling, and he warns the police not to enter and threatens to kill her if they do. William comes up with a plan to save the prostitute and sends Montone to the roof so he can enter from above while he distracts him. William calmly talks to Sagan and tells him that he'll enter the room. He promises that he wouldn't hurt him, but Sagan was still threatening to kill the prostitute. And while Sagan was distracted, Montone jumps in from above and shoots and kills Sagan. The prostitute is saved but has minor injuries, so William immediately takes her to the hospital, and he also gets a report of all the people that died last year. He sees within the 6 months, 28 people have died without any explanation of the cause, but the 6 months before that it was only 2 people. Dr. Lazarus thinks that maybe the living condition is getting to the workers, which might be the thing that's leading them to want to kill themselves, but William is unconvinced, so he takes a blood sample from Sagan before he's taken away. Later that night, he gives the blood sample to Lazarus and she runs it through her computer. At first, the results come normal, and Sagan didn't even consume alcohol before this insane act, but after a few minutes, the computer starts reporting some unknown chemical compounds. Lazarus then does her own test and figures out that the chemical compound was something called polydichloric paracetamol, and she's shocked to see this, and we then see her telling William this chemical compound is a dangerous synthetic medicine that's been banned for years now. She explains that the army had made it before, and at first the medicine was successful, and its goal was to make the workers energetic and efficient, and it was able to make people work for longer hours, but nobody really knew at the time that the side effects of the medicine took time to appear. None of the subjects even witnessed any kind of side effect up to 10 months, and then after, people regularly started to die, and this is why it was banned. William figures out that the reason that the workers at the site were more efficient was because of this medicine, but he wasn't really sure who was the supplier, so he continues his investigation in secret. One night, while monitoring the nightclub from the security room, he sees two new guys, Nicholas and Russell, who were sent by the company roaming around. He then sees the two guys meeting up with Shepard and Sergeant Monotone to discuss something in secret. William figures the new guys, Shepard and Monotone, are connected to the medicine and decides to confront Monotone in private. Monotone confesses immediately and reveals that he's paid to shut up and look the other way while Shepard does his thing. He tells him that Shepard was the one that distributes the medicine and warns William that Shepard is connected to the people above and that it's not wise to mess with him. William doesn't want to arrest Monotone, but he orders him to just stay out of his way as he plans to go after Shepard. William then continues his investigation, and one day he sees one of Shepard's dealers, Spada, trying to sell this medicine, so he chases him down and captures him before he could destroy the evidence. He then puts him in an isolated prison and tells him that if he doesn't give up Shepard, he'll be sent to a maximum prison. But Spada doesn't break, so William goes to Shepard's office and confronts him about his dealings, but Shepard smugly informs him nobody wants the medicine to be stopped, so he explains the company is happy with the results and the workers are happy as well, so technically William's just wasting his time with the investigation. He then offers to pay him as he did the last marshal, but William refuses and says that he'll stop the scheme. He returns to the prison to further investigate Spada, but he finds him dead in his cell. William then rushes to Montone's home, but he also finds him dead, hanged in his closet. William's angered by all of this, and over the next few days, he works on capturing Shepard when the next shipment comes from the company, and he infiltrates it and finds the medicine supplies hidden inside the food. He then dumps all the food and arrests the guy that was guarding them, and he then goes to Shepard to gloat, as he's now figured out how to stop the medicine from coming in, but now Shepard was super pissed and directly tells him that he's gonna die. Later that day, William listens in on Shepard's call to the company, and he hears Shepard ordering two assassins to take him out. The company executive, Bellows, was very angry at Shepard for failing and tells him that this is his last chance. He warns him that if he fails again, then the next assassins will be sent to kill him. Shepard is pretty confident though, and says that he even has someone working in the police station that will spread a rumor and make the other officers back off the fight. William gets scared hearing this, and there's only 70 hours left until the next shipment arrives, along with the two assassins. And at this point, he doesn't really know who to trust as well. And just as Shepard said, the rumor of professional assassins coming to kill William spreads around the mines and the police station in just a few hours. Even the new sergeant informs William that he won't be fighting with him because he's scared of the assassins and nobody really wants to die on that moon, especially for something that they don't think is worth it. That night, William returns home and he gets a call from his wife Carol, and she's reached the space station and is waiting for a flight to Earth. She tells him that she's bought an extra ticket for him, hoping that he would come, but he tells her that he can't before he finishes his job. He then talks to Pauline and promises to come home next year, and in the next 60 hours, we see William getting ready for the upcoming fight. He hides guns everywhere and monitors everyone's activities, and he also asks for help from anyone who's willing to help, but he ends up getting rejected. And as the countdown reaches the final hour, every employee and police officer skip work, claiming that they're sick. And this time, only Lazarus is the only person by his side, but even she advises him to just run away. 45 minutes before the estimated time, the shuttle arrives at the moon, and William rushes to his office and starts monitoring his cameras, and he sees dozens of guys getting off the shuttle. But we see two of them splitting away, and he follows them with his camera and sees them as they set up their guns. He then grabs his guns and starts making his way to his hideout, and things get intense as William is noticed by one of the assassins, but the guy misses his headshot and only hits William's shoulder. William then manages to escape out of the room, but the assassins were getting help from other people, so they kept on finding his location. Lazarus, not wanting William to die, finally decides to help him, and she goes into the police station to monitor the security cameras, and she sees William going into a trap, so she rushes over there to warn him. He then comes up with a plan to create his own trap and tells Lazarus to lead the assassins to a specific room. And while William goes outside, she runs around opening specific doors, making the assassins think that it's William. And once the first assassin gets into the room, she closes the door on him, and William blows up the room's roof, and when the assassin gets exposed to the moon's atmosphere, he immediately dies. William then moves to the other assassin, who's in the greenhouse room, and the greenhouse room is dark, so the assassin was moving with caution. But then William sends a sheet of metal from above, which startles the assassin, and he shoots his gun and accidentally breaks the protective glass, which also exposes him to the moon's atmosphere, and he also dies. While still outside, William comes face to face with his last assassin, who is, to his surprise, the sergeant himself. Sergeant Ballard has been working for Shepard, and he's the one that scared off everyone, and he's now armed with a shotgun, and he comes outside to finish the job, but William manages to make him drop his gun, and then they get into hand-to-hand combat. During the fight, William manages to take out Ballard's oxygen tube and kills him as well. Few minutes later, William comes into the nightclub where everyone was waiting there until the fight ended, and they were surprised that Williams was the one left standing, and Shepard was sitting in the corner and realizes that he's lost. William then walks up to him and gives him a good punch to the face. In the next scene, we see William getting ready to leave. He's decided to leave the moon and live with his family, and is happy with that decision, and also about everything he's accomplished. As he was packing, Lazarus barges in to say goodbye, and she commends him for his bravery, and he also thanks her for the help. After she leaves, he opens his computer and sends a message to Carol telling her that he's gonna come. And with that, the movie comes to an end.